What up, guys? Todd the Birdman rocking the Mr. Clean Turf gear here in the Bird Cave. So, just wanted to recap yesterday. There was some observations I had on new communities, and I think it'll help people like me that are in the industry on timing. Printer's coming alive. On timing. When should you go out to a new community, right? Because in the high deserts where we live, a lot of the folks commute down, right? So yesterday, there might have been like 1% of the people that were home or available to wrap with, working in the garage, working in the yard, or something like that. But in the high deserts, Palmdale, Victorville, Hesperia, and those places, a lot of the people, unless they telecommute or whatever they call it today, they commute down into either Orange County or Los Angeles, and they're gone all day, right? So a lot of these folks are transplants from down below, right? Either the IE or LA, right? A lot of them come from LA, so they're still going back down to where they worked before they got the house, and they moved up there for affordability, and they got solar with a home, and that's just the way that California rocks it. I will guarantee you, none of them know there's maintenance requirements with solar. If they don't know that they need to clean them to maintain the production, I know for sure they don't know how to read their Edison bill. Man, this beard's getting crazy. Or their utility bill, right? So I know they don't know that, right? And a lot of the people in the industry don't even have solar. So if they haven't sold solar, I know a couple of us have sold and sold for the same companies, but they don't know how to read the bill. So like Edgar with All One would say, it's all about educating the customer. But if you don't have solar and you don't understand the true up process, how are you going to go back to educate the customer and say, hey, look, see those panels? Those things should be looking nice and sparkly clean. In the high desert, they're dirty. They're losing production. So how do you tie it all together for the customer? You got to break it down and say, hey, look, let me see your Edison bill. Let me show you what a producing system looks like. Let me look at the month your true up is at. Mine's May, and I'm going to flip to the pages, right? They just get this thing, and mine says disconnect, so don't pay attention to that. They always tell you, send me the money, send me the money. End of the year, I true up, and then I'm good. But you have to make it make sense. If you tell somebody that has no idea that they have to maintain the solar, they know they got solar, they know nothing about it, they're going to be like, well, logically it makes sense that you need to keep them clean, but nobody told me that, so I don't see anybody else getting them clean. So a new community is going to take a lot longer for you to make impression in, and it's going to take a lot longer because you're going to have to educate these people. Sometimes the pigeons are already there, they're already moved in, but these two different tracks had a high system, so really tall system. So they tried the recess, they tried the wind guards. Tesla wrapped it all the way except for the back. They've tried everything. Now they're just like 4x4s. They look horrible, right? And there's even nesting going on there, but they don't know what's up. So the biggest observation is if you're going to go to a new community and you flyer it up, there's going to be 5 or 10 other flyers on the ground, right? So kind of to Edgar's point, you need to bang the door and talk to the customers. But what you want to do is you want to leave them that hanger, and then that warms up the neighborhood. If they were home or around, they see you in the neighborhood. Then you got to go back when there's traffic outside, when they're doing their yards. Everything's desertscape this day, so nobody's mowing yards or anything, but maybe they're washing cars. Go back on a weekend, you roll through, you talk to them, say, hey, did you get my door hanger? We're doing work in the area, we're cleaning panels. Do you understand how the process works? And then you build it from there, right? So I'm going to flip this over to go through this bill, right? Because they bury information. My true up goes May to May. So if I don't get like February, March, April, May, and some of June banking that energy, come July. Well, sometimes it's June too. June shoots through the roof. July, August, September, October. Man, I'm dead because I'm gonna be running those ACs, both of them, pretty much all day, right? To keep the house regulated, and the wife works from home and she's in and out, right? And she's a princess, so that thing's got to be dialed in. So I'm going to show you this. People say, hey, is there a good time to clean your solar or a better time? There's never a bad time to clean solar. We all get that. But if you have the knowledge to tie in timing of year with true up, sometimes the true up falls right in line, right? Like with mine, I tell them, hey, look, there's not a bad time. You want to get this thing cleaned early in the year, right? So when people are usually not worried about cleaning, you got to program them to say, hey, look, if you're in May, like mine's May, if you don't get, you got to think about the hours of sunlight in January. Whoop, it's a blink of an eye, depending on, are they east, west, south facing? Are they all over the roof, right? You got to add all that skill set in to be able to say, hey, look, your system's all on the west side. We're in the southern hemisphere, right? So when that today, like in Antelope Valley, the sun comes up way over in like Victorville area. I'm pointing that way, right? Way kind of northeast. And it comes around up straight over the top of the Antelope Valley and goes down towards Quartz Hill, right? So folks that have east and west and south, they're going to kill it all year. Winter in January, that thing's coming up by Mountain High. It's just hugging the Inland Empire mountains. So you guys got to find those landmarks where you're servicing to be able to give them the illustration. Hey, man, in summer it's coming up and it's, you got 14 hours of usable light, but since you're all west facing, you're not getting all 14 hours, right? In winter, where you need that February, March, April, May, and June because you're not using a lot of energy, right? You're not running ACs in those times. But if you don't bank that energy, come July, August, September, October, you're done. Then the way that they do these bills, they put like the true up kilowatts as well as the amount, negative and positive, right? Customers have no idea. At the end of the year, these new homeowners, whoa, bam, dude, like 2-3 G's, right? Because they're like, oh, so they said solar, and solar, basically you could run your electricity all day long. You don't have to worry about when to do your laundry and all of that stuff, right? So who knows what they're told to close these deals, right? So when you look at my bill, you're going to see the downdraft is going down. That means I'm not using as much as I'm producing. And so that means I'm banking it. So Edison is taking that energy, distributing it out to my neighbors at a premium charge, right? You got to love it, right? But I have credits on the book. So come July, I'm like, hit that AC, baby. Like, we're snoozing with blankets on top, man. Like we Eskimos, man. You know what I mean? But I know how to read my bill and I know how to watch it. So at the end of the year, this 280 that's due right now, typically I pay about $500 because when I built the system, there was only 4 of us in the house. Now there's 6 of us in the house. And I'm not a skimper, even though Edgar says I'm a tightwad, right? I am on certain things. But when it comes to sleep, I can't sleep anyway. So if I don't have a nice, cool environment to sleep, I'm a bear to deal with. I'm a bear to deal with when I get good 8 hours of sleep. But anyway, check this out. So here is the Edison bill, and this I'm going to keep walking through it. Worry about account numbers and things like that, and if you're going to take my account number and pay it, go ahead. So on your first page, right, they're just kind of saying, hey, this is, previous balance, past due amount, your new charges. New charge is $66, right? Those are the connection fees, the distribution fees, and all that. Nothing really exciting to look at. Nothing on page 2, really. Page 3 over here, just giving you a breakdown of who's getting what, right, on the types of charges, domestic, D-rate, or whatever they call it. This is the money maker rump shaker right here. So the cool thing, going back over here, you see that says year-to-date charges through the month 9. I'm on the 9th month out of 12. So right now I owe them $265, right? Remember, the new charges, where were they? I don't even know where they were. Oh, right there. It was like $66, right? Because the energy that I was producing, this is more of my connection fees, and maybe I used a little bit of energy, right? This is up to July. So here's the snapshot that I was talking about. Your November, December, mine's all east. So when I'm talking about the illustration, in November, December, January, the amount of usable sunlight my system gets, it's really limited, maybe 4 hours or so, right? And so when you look at February, I'm still above the bar. March, I start putting money in the bank. I'm starting to produce more than I'm using. April, because the days are getting longer, there's more usable light, right? So I'm still not using energy. In May, we might have had some hot streaks there or something, right? But we're still banking energy. June, right? This was a really zany year, right? June, I'm still banking energy, right? So I'm building credits. So then that way, when July comes, you see that big old bar? Well, bam, dude, I'm sucking all kinds of energy out, right? So for me, if I don't get those early months as credits, right? Telling a customer, I know I'm long-winded, but you got to shorten this speech up. Say, hey, let's look at your bill. When's your true up? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're May to May. You're east facing, west facing. This is where the rubber meets the road. Like, you need to make sure your system's clean. Why? Like, people say, I see them, 30 to 40% gains in the middle of summer. That's crazy. Right now, the system has the most usable sunlight, and it's going to do the most that it can do. Are you going to get, I've seen some horrible systems that are just annihilated with pelican crap and pigeon crap and things like that. And in Hawaii, right, I've seen some recent posts, right, from the boys in the group, right? It's crazy how horrible those panels are. So yeah, I do see the onesie twosies that will pick up a 40% gain. But in summer, that system is producing at its max. If it's dirty, you're not going to be dropping, the typical dirty system's not going to be dropping 40%. Those are the exceptions, right? Where you're really choking out is when you go from 14 hours down to like 3.5 or 4 hours because of the array is at. Mine's all east, right? So where the rubber meets the road on that one is, all right, let's look at it. So you need February, March, April, May, and June. At the beginning of the year, if your system's dirty, you have less sunlight, your system is dirty, it's not going to have a chance to do what it's designed to do. When they build these systems, I shouldn't say that. When you're sold a system outside of one being put on the house that you buy, they look at the months, your usage, and then they build it accordingly to your winter and your summer months, and they make sure you have a buffer. When you walk into a house and they put a little 6-panel or 12-panel system, they're not really looking at how many heads do you have in the house, the square footage. They say they look at the square footage, but these 3,000 square foot monster houses with a 12-panel system is never going to amount to cover you, right? They just say, set it and forget it and blow it up. So when you're like, hey, look at this system, you only have 12 panels or you only have 6 panels, your true up is May to May. You need to make sure at the beginning of the year, I know it's rainy and it's intermittent and we have rain that comes through, but the rain, we know, don't wash it. That's when you get into your whole car philosophy and all that stuff. But when you're like, look, you got to keep it clean when the hours of sunlight are very limited, right? This is how you get them on your every 6 months. So if you get it at the beginning of the year, 6 months later, you want to make sure that you get it clean. So like for me, I want to be clean in the first quarter. So that way I'm getting my February, March, April, May, and June. And then, so July, August, September, October is going to kill me, even though that's only 4 months. I come back and say, hey, you might want to start looking in October to get your system cleaned again. So it's not a hard every year, every 6 months. Use their true up to set the pace for when you should get your panels cleaned. Obviously, it's a financial thing. If you're charging them $220 every 4 months, right? I don't know. I mean, you got to do the math to see what makes sense, right? But if you tell somebody, hey, Mr. Graves, your system true up is May to May. That means that at the end of May, you've got to settle up with Edison. And so looking at this graph here, anytime the tier is up, your system's not producing enough to give you the energy you need. So you're drawing from Edison at this point. And as it gets lower, because the sunlight's starting to increase during the days, excuse the dirty, rough construction looking hands, but now we're banking it because in March, April, and May, I'm not using a lot of electricity, but there's more sunlight. My system's clean. The system's starting to produce. Yeah, buddy, because, whoa, bam! In July, when both air conditionings are running like crazy, that thing's going to soak up. But you're going back and you're getting to use the credits, right? Over here on page 5 of 8, they bury it. So you see this where you're seeing year-to-date delivery of CRS energy charges as previous months, right? Minus $40. So then it says your current monthly delivery charges, then your year-to-date delivery charges. Right now, this is showing in the positive. So I owe them $265. So when you're talking to the customer and you're like, yo, man, when their panels are dirty, most of this is going to be above the line. They're not going to get a lot of dips in there, right? And then you show them this and you're like, oh yeah, but your monthly charges, right? Where is that at? Is only $66. But when you come over buried in the bill, you're going to owe $265. If it was to end right now, I'm only in month 9, but if this was the 12th month, you got to write $265. So if you get them on an understanding of the bill, their true up, their array on where it's set, it sounds like a lot of information because I'm a scatterbrain when I try to communicate anything when I'm driving down the freeway. But you know what I mean? So educate yourself if you don't know this bill. Educate yourself on how much usable sunlight it is. Where's the sun coming up in summer versus going down? How does that change in the winter? And how does that impact their production? That way you're not getting the one and done customer. So in these new communities, you're like Edgar, you're out there all damn day talking to people. And how much of that will return to you? I'll tell you what, anytime new communities come about, there's one there's keeping up with the Joneses. Where does that come from? Oh, the neighbor's getting land. You're talking to people. All your different races are intermingled. Nobody cares about that crap because you're all happy homeowners. Where did you come from? Oh, that's cool. Everybody's cool until the dog starts barking at 3 o'clock. You start parking your shit cars all over the front area of theirs. But originally they start talking and sharing. Oh, I'm getting window blinds. Oh, I'm getting turf done. You know, Mr. Clean Turf's all about that, right? So, so they're all sharing. So they're going to be like, hey, man, this dude, Edgar at All One, man, he broke this down. I had no idea, man. They didn't tell us this when we bought this house. They just say you got the solar. It's like George Foreman, set it and forget it. They didn't show us this. I looked at my bill and I got $265 I'm going to have to pay to Edison in a couple months. Now I get it. I could see they're dirty, but now it makes sense. So if I clean them a couple times a year because I want to bank that energy, and then that way I could use it, and then at the end of the year when the sun's starting to deteriorate and then the sun's coming up in a different location and I've only got a few hours of sunlight, I get it. Knowledge is key. So that might have taken 18 minutes to get there, but most of y'all don't have solar. Most of y'all have never looked at your bill if you do have solar and understand it. But if you don't have it and you don't understand it, Birdman just delivered, man. That's what our pastor does. He'll smack that little wooden desk up there, whatever it's called, the pulpit or whatever, and wake you up in church, boy. Bam! The power of the Lord is upon you. Just kidding. But anyway, hopefully I got your attention 19 minutes into it. If you want to know more about the Edison bill, the True Up bill, DWP is different. They charge every 2 months. They've got water and sewage in there. So you got to become the expert, right? I know old A1 out there, that boy used to sell for Solar City. So did I. That's where we got these skill sets. That's why my talk off is better in these new communities than yours, because you don't know. But now you know. I told you, man. You don't have to always buy material from me to give you that nugget, right? But I'll tell you, these new communities, they have no clue. So 300, 250, 300, I'd say probably 260 yesterday I did in houses. I'm probably going to be just another door knocker that's on the ground. I picked one up to see what it was, and because I've seen them all on the ground. But I was going to take a picture, but everybody has Ring alarms and all these other gadgets. And there was like 4 or 5 different soft water, landscape, rocks, and stuff like that. People leave their business cards in a bag, which is pretty cool. There was a bunch of junk there, right? But now when I go back out and I said, hey man, did you guys get my flyer, right? Do you guys understand solar? Do you have any questions about solar? Do you know what your bill says? I got my bill right here. I could show you, right? And then, like a good neighbor, this ain't a State Farm commercial. They get the knowledge. What do people do with knowledge? They want to share the knowledge. They want to show, they want to puff their chest, as my pastor would say, and show that knowledge, right? So they're going to go talk to their neighbor. Probably screw up everything you told them 20 minutes in at this point. But the big thing with new communities is, do you know the true up process? Do you have a bill you could show them? Do you understand where the sun's coming up and setting? Hopefully you know your east versus west, right? And we're in the southern hemisphere. Y'all up north, that might be a little different on the angles of where it's coming up. You'd be talking about it's coming over the delta, right? Over there. But who knows? But hopefully this helps out. So the 200 and some houses I hit yesterday, I'm just another hanger that's going to end up on the floor. Maybe, maybe not. But then that's called warming it up. Now you go back. All you need is one job. You catch somebody and you say, hey, look, we in the neighborhood. I'm sure you got our door hanger along with the 50 others. But has anybody ever walked you through your Edison bill? Do you have a copy of your Edison bill? Most people got it on their phone. Pop that open. Let me walk you through. See those panels? Are they clean or dirty to you? Do you even have an idea? They might not even know, right? Some people don't wash their cars. That's just the way it goes, right? That's why they cut me off every time they turn around. But then you walk them through it, and like Edgar said, it's about education. And once you give somebody some value, now when you tell them, hey, it's going to be every 4 to 6 months at $160 or whatever you're going to charge, they're like, hey, you gave them your time, your energy, your knowledge. Now they get it. Now it makes sense, right? So, boom, customer. But you can't just go and do 250 homes and don't go back to educate the customers. I know we're at 22 minutes, so I'm going to do a short on this and probably throw it up into YouTube. Try to be like my boy Edgar. I keep mentioning him because he's a motivator, rhyme taker. He ain't got no flow. He ain't steady on his feet, but keeps me motivated to come in the shop and spit that game to you youngsters. Yeah, Papa Birdman out. Peace.